I'm here on the floor of the Global Energy Show with Robbie Picard. He is the head of Picard Media and the head of publisher of the Oil and Gas World magazine. But you hail from Fort Mac, right?
Yes, I'm from Fort McMurray. Yes, I've been advocating for a long time. Mm-hmm. I started Oil Sands Strong. I worked with Canada Action for a while.
Good hats.
Amazing hats. I worked for Canada Action for a while doing the I Love Oil Sands campaign, and then we kind of just went different ways. And then I basically kind of started doing the magazine. I took a bus across Canada, and I realized I have two things. So Oil Sands Strong is where you kind of want to punch back, like when I took on celebrity Jane Fonda, I took on Leonardo DiCaprio, and I fought the fight. But I also realized, like, even I was talking about you a few seconds ago, and there's a personal side of people that promote energy, and candidly conservatives, that doesn't get humanized as often. So Oil and Gas World, I try to tell the human side of the stories of the people behind energy.
Yeah, so you've been doing this a long time. You're
11 years.
11 years. You're one of the OG oil and gas.
I think
OG. It was not really many people in the game of actually standing up for Western energy at that time. It was almost entirely just like these bean-counting, mealy-mouthed communication bureaucrats in the companies, but we know who they are.
They're still there.
Yeah. They work for the big oil and gas corporations, mostly the internationals, some of the big domestics, and they really just were afraid of their own shadow. They never wanted to punch back. There really weren't a lot of independent, punchy guys like you, but you're, as I said, kind of the OG guy for it. You and maybe and Cody, I guess.
Cody Bashell.
Yeah, the two of you.
And we always got to give credit to Ezra for the book Ethical Oil.
That was a big moment.
That started the catalyst to bring people kind of together.
Yeah, I'd say kind of the three of you. I mean, Ezra, that was just one part of the media thing he was doing, but that kind of set the foundation intellectually, I think, and then laid out the argument of it. Yeah. And you and Cody kind of took it from there. And it's a completely different ballgame today. Now you've got.
Now it's cool.
Now it's cool.
It's hot,
It's so hot right now. Earlier today we were both at the influencer pitch session here. They have a whole influencer portion to the oil and gas, the Global Energy Show here.
I won that, by the way.
You won it?
I won it.
I didn't. I didn't stay around long enough.
No, you didn't. You missed out. I did win. I was very happy. I was shocked, but
you deserved to win.
I fumbled my words, but I did win it, so I was pretty happy about that.
My words were great, and I still lost. Okay.
But you win all the time.
You
win all the time.
I'm winning.
You're one of my favorite people, period.
I'm a winner. Winning.
You win all the time. This is amazing. So
winning.
I love going to your office. When I stole your tripod that time.
Yeah, we still want that back.
I'll give it back. But let me tell you something. Your office is one of the most, I spent a lot of time there. I think you guys interviewed me at the time, and I love it. It reminds me of an old newsroom that you don't see anymore. And you got your reporters sitting there, and they're kind of like scuffling through their stories.
They would be smoking.
They could. You know what I mean?
They're vaping now.
Yeah, the vaping. But it's such a beautiful place, and I love all of the old magazines. I think Danielle Smith gave you those to put back up.
Yeah, the delivery address is still on them
to her house. But that is, you should be proud of that, and you should be proud of how hard you've worked to protect, I'm going to say authentic media, or media with a different perspective. So you should be proud of that. So you're the biggest influencer of them all in a sense. So I just wanted to say that.
My ego is big enough to absorb.
Well, it's true, and I don't give compliments I don't mean. So
I appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
So we had this event today. It's kind of a new thing where there's hundreds of these oil and gas influencers now. Yeah. And we went from 2 and a book to 11 years ago to hundreds here. And it's a whole network. You have the Modern Miracle Network that's built into this. Canada Action, Oil Sands Strong, all of these things. And it just seems to really have matured now as, I don't know if a movement's the right term. I guess it is.
Well, so I've been at this quite a while, and I actually, candidly, to fund this, I started my own media company, which we do social media websites. I primarily Indigenous clients in Fort McMurray, but we have an office in Calgary now, small, but we're making a presence, and we do that type of thing. And I did that to power this, because like one of the things that the big oil companies, and they need to stop doing this, is that they instantaneously, it's the same thing all the time. I can't tell you the amount of times that their branding has been reinvented, about 6 that I can think of. They're going to do this big thing. They have a big event. They hire a major ad agency to put billboards.
So much money on this.
Millions of dollars have been spent. And like, not to be arrogant, but my reach was almost 600 million last month on my socials, which is more than all of them combined. And not nearly the amount of money, not like, and I think I'm glad to see a lot of influencers out there. That has happened periodically where they kind of come and go, but it's like, we need to collectively fund this side of the story to the point where, like, I should, this is not my, even though it's more or less my full-time job, it's my kind of segue from my actual business, which I had, which, don't get me wrong, I'm grateful. Like, my business is doing well. I got 13 staff and I'm very happy. But at the same time, it's like, to get funding for the magazine and get funding for Oil Stand Strong and Oil and Gas World has been hell. And then you see, okay, industry, got this new concept. We're going to, their social media is horrible. They haven't done anything amazing. They don't even, the story they're trying to sell has not moved the needle. And what we do does. I remember when it was kind of in the early days, I left Canada Action and I was kind of pretty happy with what I was doing. And we traveled from Halifax to Vancouver Island. So essentially, other than Newfoundland, pretty much from coast to coast around the country. And every city we went to, we'd run a poll after about a pipeline, like, would you support pipelines? And every city we tipped the scale. It was like, used to be always negative against pipelines. And then when we were done this sort of campaign, you have 55% supporting pipelines. Now, Notley, I was pretty impressed when she did the wine ban. I remember the Greenpeace had a protest. They had 10,000 people. We had 500 at ours. But the polls supported us. So all of that work, we didn't get paid for it. We had very limited money. That was far more effective than anything that the big companies did. And I really hope that they look at us more seriously of finding ways to support, because a lot of people that were in advocacy that came and gone never got funding, and eventually, you can't afford to do it. I'm very fortunate that I've got a good business and I got a good base. I'm part of the Glossky family, and they're a group of companies in Fort McMurray, so I'm very lucky. But that being said, I want to see far more, because Alberta has contributed. The Fraser Institute did that study, and it's basically Alberta contributed, I think it was 3 times more than all the provinces combined from 2007 to 2022. Now, can you imagine if we had the Northern Gateway Pipeline, if we had more respect for this industry that pays for the whole country? But it shouldn't be a situation where it's just embarrassingly how bad it is, and we need to do more.
Yeah, just the corporate communications in general is always so terrible, but especially from Alberta's oil and gas.
There needs to be more.
Well, and you see, the big guys tend to be afraid of their own shadow. It's the juniors, some of the mid guys. They're willing to fight. They're willing to fund people on their own side. Yeah. It's the big guys. They're just afraid of everything. They're more interested in hiring a bunch of lobbyists to trying to just suck up to whoever's in power at the time to try and win things over. But they're not fighting fire with fire. I'm optimistic that things are starting to change. Maybe not from the big guys, but medium guys.
I'm still going to give Carney a chance. I understand a lot of his past, and depends on which way you look at it. But he wrote the books, and he did all that. That seemed that he'd be very anti-pipeline. But when you're in that chair, and you need to make a lot of money, and you need to make a lot of money quick. And the reality is there is no such thing as green energy. Every type of energy has a cost, and it has a price, and it has a consequence. And pipelines and Canadian energy is the safest way to build the world. And he just made a statement. It's embarrassing. I didn't even know this. Canada has 3 submarines. 2 of them are not working. 1 kind of works. You better call West Edmonton Mall. There's still subs there, and get their subs. You know what I mean? That would triple the military.
When I was a sea cadet as a kid, and my dream was to be a submarine boat captain.
Yeah.
Thank God I did not pursue this line of work. Yeah. I'd still be sitting in dry dock. I'd be an admiral of the West Edmonton Mall.
We are the second largest country in the world landmass, with arguably the largest amount of resources. I think
the single largest coastline.
100%.
And we don't have a single real, totally
third largest
submarine.
Proven resource, oil resource. I'm hearing that it's maybe the 4th, but regardless of that, we have uranium and potash, and we're sitting back, and our country, we're apologizing for our existence, and all this patriotism. Don't get me wrong, I'm patriotic, but 4 years ago, they were ripping down the Canadian flag. I'm a Métis guy, and sure, Canada has some historic problems. We also are a very successful country because of our history. Tearing down monuments, attacking our country, and now all of a sudden, because Trump, sable rattles us, we're all pro-Canada. How about we actually be pro-Canada? Because Alberta's largest trading partner is not Canada.
No.
It's the United States. So I just hosted a bunch of Americans in Fort McMurray. They were up for called Site Selectors, and I interviewed all of them. They were amazing interviews. And the other thing that I was kind of flabbergasted by is that the Americans don't mess around. These guys, I got to deal with one of them in 2 minutes. He's already emailing me a contract to sign. I'm like, holy, I just met you. We need to be more like the Americans. We need to be aggressive. We need to try to work our magic to get our oil to market and build our industry.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for your time, Robbie.
Thank you very much for having me.
I appreciate it. And
Pleasure.
Thanks for the cool new swag.
You're welcome.
Just give me my tripod back for that studio.
I will give you the tripod back. Awesome.
Thank you. That's Robbie Picard of Picard Media and Oil and Gas.
Strong and Oil and Gas World.
There we go.
That's Robbie Picard Media. Robbie Picard Media.
Robbie Picard.
Picard Media.
Jean-Luc Picard Media. Got it.
Robbie Picard Media. Thank you. Awesome.